The day the snow squall hit, I asked some of the carriage drivers that were there, saying, there's a major storm coming. You have to go back to the stables. City agencies, the Department of Health, Department of Emergency Management, National Weather Service, all were warning hours in advance of this snow squall hitting. It would be very fast. There would be high winds. They even used the term life-threatening conditions. People needed to stay off the road. We were so worried and horrified that these horses had to continue working in this. And not only did the drivers stay there, even though they knew that this dangerous storm that could be life-threatening was hitting, they continued giving rides. They continued operating on the streets in traffic with these horses. Their working conditions every day are very harsh because the stables are on the far west side of Manhattan and they have to travel all the way over to Central Park through some of the most congested, chaotic, dangerous Midtown traffic, often during rush hour. Many violations of law are occurring with the carriage drivers illegally disregarding the traffic laws, running red lights, doing illegal U-turns in heavy traffic. So this creates a really dangerous situation, not just for the horses, but for motorists, for pedestrians, for bicyclists. The carriage itself can be several hundred pounds, and then you can have 5 adults on there, and the driver counts as a person. Many of the horses are being worked overtime. We see many of them being taken out in the morning, hours before they are even allowed to work, just so the drivers can kind of line up to get the first fares. We cannot count on the carriage drivers to do the right thing. Dozens and dozens of instances of carriage drivers violating the law, giving rides, soliciting and picking and dropping off customers in other areas of Midtown outside of the park, such as Times Square. It's very dangerous to put the horses in those situations. There have been many terrible crashes that result from horses spooking in traffic, horses that collapse on the street while pulling carriages. They go back to sort of warehouse buildings where they are placed in tiny stalls that are really half the size of what's recommended as humane for large draft horses. They barely have room to lay down in them, kind of a solitary prison cell. They're not getting proper vet care, they're not getting proper farrier care for their feet and hoofs. When a horse either is too old or in such bad shape, can no longer physically pull the carriage and make a profit, the owners often sell them. And for a worn-out carriage horse that is old or in bad shape, most likely going to be purchased by what is called a killer buyer, and they will transport them to Canada or Mexico to slaughterhouses.
Si amas a los animales, suscríbete.